Imagine a world where cancer could be cured, cars ran on water, and gravity itself could be defied. What if I told you those inventions may have already existed, but were taken from us? Some were buried, others ridiculed, and a few may have been deliberately suppressed. Welcome to Mystery Shack, your home for the dark, the bizarre, and the unexplained. Tonight, we're diving into 5 of the most forbidden inventions, creations so mysterious and so dangerous that they never reached their full potential. And by the end, you might wonder, who decides what humanity is allowed to create, and what must be erased? Nikola Tesla, one of history's most brilliant and eccentric inventors, dreamed of a machine so powerful it could end all wars. He called it the Teleforce, but the world came to know it by a darker name, the Death Ray. Tesla claimed his device could fire a concentrated beam of high-energy particles across incredible distances, able to bring down fleets of airplanes, set the enemy line on fire, or melt through tank armor as if it were butter. Unlike conventional weapons, it needed no bullets, no explosives. It was pure energy, pulled from the very air itself. In 1934, Tesla went public with his design, offering it as a super weapon for peace. He told governments that a nation armed with the death ray could build an impenetrable wall of energy along its borders, making invasion impossible. If every country had one, he argued, war itself would become unthinkable. But not everyone believed him. Some scientists dismissed his claims as fantasy. Others, including military officials, worried about what would happen if such a weapon fell into the wrong hands. That perhaps it did. That governments, or even shadow networks within them, sought to keep the technology exclusively for themselves, ensuring its power would never be shared with the public. Tesla tried to pitch the idea to the United States, to Britain, even to the Soviet Union, but each deal mysteriously fell through. As the Second World War approached, rumors spread that Tesla's invention might secretly be tested. And when Tesla died alone in his New York hotel room in 1943, government agents quickly descended on his belongings. The FBI seized crates of his papers and prototypes. To this day, many of those files remain classified. Was the death ray a fantasy from the mind of a genius in decline? Or was it a real invention, one so dangerous that the world's most powerful governments decided it could never be allowed to exist? Long before electricity was officially discovered, an artifact found in Iraq raised eyebrows. Archaeologists unearthed small clay jars dating back over 2,000 years. Inside were copper cylinders and iron rods. Many believe these objects, dubbed the Baghdad batteries, could generate a small electric charge when filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar. If true, this would mean ancient civilizations mastered electricity long before Benjamin Franklin's experiments. Replicas built by modern researchers have indeed produced small currents, strong enough to give a mild shock or to power simple reactions. It may not sound like much, but for a culture over 2 millennia old, it would have been revolutionary. What were they used for? theories range from electroplating jewelry to religious rituals, even medical treatments. Some suggest they may have been used in temples to awe worshippers. Imagine touching a sacred idol and feeling an unexpected spark of divine energy. Mainstream scholars argue the jars were simply storage vessels, but others insist they prove humanity once had access to technology far more advanced than we give it credit for. A knowledge that was later lost, or perhaps suppressed. And if that's true, it raises a haunting question. Did ancient leaders discover electricity long before us, only to hide it away for their own use? In the early 20th century, American scientist Royal Raymond Rife claimed to have invented a device that could both diagnose and destroy cancer. His Rife machine targeted microbes using specific electromagnetic frequencies, supposedly killing them without harming surrounding tissue. Rife wasn't just another inventor. He also built one of the most powerful microscopes of his time, capable of magnifying living viruses, something other microscopes couldn't achieve. This allowed him to study pathogens in real time, and he claimed he could determine the exact frequency at which each one would shatter, a principle he called the mortal oscillatory rate. By the 1930s, reports circulated of patients recovering after his treatments. Some accounts even claimed that 16 out of 16 terminal cancer patients in one trial experienced dramatic improvement. To his supporters, it was nothing short of miraculous, a future where disease could be eliminated by resonance, not drugs or surgery. But as quickly as it rose, the invention fell. The medical establishment branded it quackery, insisting his results were impossible. His lab was raided, his equipment seized, and much of his research destroyed. Rife died in obscurity, but his supporters still insist his cure was buried, not because it failed, but because it threatened billion-dollar industries built on ongoing treatments rather than permanent cures. And some even believe the technology wasn't lost at all, but quietly taken, to be kept out of reach from the very public it could have saved. In the 1990s, inventor Stanley Meyer from Ohio shocked the world when he unveiled what he called the water fuel cell, a device he claimed could split ordinary water into hydrogen and oxygen far more efficiently than traditional electrolysis. This hydrogen, he said, could then power a car. If true, the implications were staggering. Oil and gasoline could be rendered obsolete overnight. But critics insisted Meyer's cell was nothing more than a simple electrolysis machine, dressed up with bold claims, and that it violated the fundamental laws of physics. Meyer, however, didn't just talk, he demonstrated. He installed the device inside a working car, claiming it could drive long distances on nothing but a few liters of water. Media outlets covered the story, and investors lined up to learn more. But controversy followed him at every turn. Established scientists dismissed his results as impossible, while Meyer accused oil companies and government agencies of trying to suppress his breakthrough. Then, in 1998, after dining with his brother and two investors, Meyer suddenly collapsed. His final words were chilling. "They poisoned me." Moments later, he was dead. The official report blamed a brain aneurysm, but suspicion has lingered ever since. To this day, no one has successfully reproduced his invention. Was Meyer a fraud, a misunderstood genius? Or did his discovery vanish because it threatened industries too powerful to challenge? Viktor Grebennikov, a Russian entomologist, became fascinated with the microscopic structures of insect wings. He discovered that the chitin shells of certain beetles and bees seemed to possess strange anti-gravitational properties. According to Grebennikov, when these structures were arranged in a specific way, they created a mysterious field, one that could reduce or even cancel gravity. He said this wasn't just theory. After years of studying insects under his microscope, he claimed to have constructed a small flying platform that harnessed these forces. The device, he said, could hover silently, move at astonishing speeds, and seemed to bend the very laws of physics. While flying, he described distortions of space and time, strange changes in perception, and even episodes of invisibility, phenomena so bizarre they defied conventional science. Grebennikov even left behind hand-drawn sketches of his platform, though he never publicly revealed the full construction details. Mainstream scientists dismissed him as delusional, calling it a fantasy without evidence. But believers argue that his discovery was nothing less than a glimpse into a hidden natural force, one that could revolutionize energy, travel, and even space exploration. And if it was real, it may be the most suppressed invention of them all. Because what would governments and corporations do if a lone entomologist had truly unlocked the secret of free, limitless flight? These 5 inventions all share one thing. They promised to reshape the world, and then disappeared. Were they truly impossible, or were they erased because someone didn't want us to have them? If you enjoyed this dive into the forbidden, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Mystery Shack, your home for the dark, the bizarre, and the unexplained. And remember, sometimes what we don't know is exactly what we were never meant to find out.